Vince McMahon, we then go to him being backstage. He walks up on two rosebuds, kind of just gives him a look, but then he keeps walking. Renee approaches and asks about the current state of WWE. But Vince cuts her off. He says, he's happy because tonight he's doing a podcast with Steve Austin. He says it's going to be so much fun. And then she asks if Vince is thinking about bringing back the Authority. He says, well, that's in John Cena's hands. And then Vince just says that the interview is going to be great, and that's where his mind is at. And he walks off. And then we go to Fandango versus Jack Swagger. And
Hold up. You're going too fast now. I just want to say I'm reading comments in the Steve Austin post-Raw podcast thread on Reddit, and apparently he has already asked Vince McMahon about the CM Punk situation, the streak, Randy Savage, TNA, and he's grilled him about constantly putting over the term sports entertainment. And apparently Austin has also stood up for Cesaro. So this is a must-watch, and I cannot wait to finish recording this TwitWow so we can go watch it.
Yeah, should be fun. Especially, I hope when he asked about Punk, he didn't back down. I know that was a concern of a lot of people, was that Austin may kind of pussyfoot it a little bit and back down and accept the corporate answer. I hope not. I hope he grilled Vince on it. But thank you for letting us know, because now that tells me that not only CM Punk's interview, but now Steve Austin's episode with Vince McMahon must-see podcast for the evening for everybody listening. Okay, so now with that established, we do come back from break, and Fandango does his entrance, and I was getting ready to say, which is funny, that I was going to give you the reins on this action because I know how high you've been on Fandango's new incarnation here, his maturation, if you will, and I guess this more serious but still somewhat sensual kind of dancer and fully embracing a heel persona.
Yeah, I really love this Fandango, man. It's awesome.
Yeah, he comes out with Rosa Mendez. Jack Swagger's music hits, but he doesn't show up. Starts again, it doesn't show up. It goes to the back with Zeb Coulter, who's fallen down, which proves that he should have gotten life alert. He's holding his leg. Swagger runs over and asks him who did it. I don't remember Zeb saying that it was Rusev. I think he was just still going, in
Yeah,
pain.
he was going full Peter Griffin there.
Yeah, definitely. We go back to the ring. Fandango's getting booed as he poses, which is great because it's a live crowd, so you know that it's not canned. Fandango's really going out there and he's getting that legitimate heat.
Yes, and it is so prominent in this crowd too. And I think that this crowd was really the perfect kind of snapshot of kind of what the general mainstream casual fan thinks of Raw. And the fact that they were this hot for Fandango speaks volumes, in my opinion.
Definitely, because it shows they've embraced these changes just as much as he has. Then he is announced the winner by forfeit, so he takes that victory. He goes out with Rosa. I don't think they dance at all, but they do kind of celebrate together before they head up to the back. And then Rusev's music immediately hits, and him and Lana come out.
And you know what? I love how fast-paced this felt, because Fandango comes out, he's ready for his match, nobody comes out even though Swagger's supposed to be his opponent, and what happens? They announce that he was the winner, and then immediately, before he even gets a chance to get to the back, Rusev's music hits and he comes out.
Such a refreshing change of pace, because how often do we see a beatdown and then they leave that to be, like a gaping kind of thread, gaping kind of hole for the rest of the show? And here they just resolve it so quickly. Definitely a refreshing change of pace. So then Rusev comes out. Lana, she says, that they were put through so much last week, but Rusev still prevailed. I mean, she talks about the Battle Royal on SmackDown, says that 19 other superstars had the chance, but none of them could stop Rusev. And she says all those that have foolishly challenged him have been crushed. For those who don't listen, like Zeb Coulter, have been broken. And then she says, to stand up for a true Pledge of Allegiance, and the Russian flag drops down. And then we see Vladimir Putin on the big screen. But then Jack Swagger's music hits, and he does come out this time. No more fake outs, as he tackles Rusev and just unloads on him. Ultimately, it does into a brawl, which Swagger's firmly in control of, and the referees go and they separate the two. So it definitely seems like we're on a collision course with Swagger versus Rusev for the U.S. title at the pay-per-view.
Yeah. This, I don't. Does this feel like regression to anyone else?
It certainly feels like regression to me, and I don't know what Sheamus is dealing with, but honestly, I would have preferred Sheamus versus Rusev again.
Yeah, I know, right? I mean, apparently Sheamus is. Didn't he just get surgery?
I think he did just get surgery. I don't know.
Yeah.
Though.
Well, I mean, with the WWE's doctors, it could be anything at this point.
Yeah, and the thing, I mean, Sheamus still does have a legitimate claim to contendership because remember, his rematch ended in a countout with Rusev winning because of authority interference.
Yeah.
You know, they're out of power, so Sheamus has a clear road now to, I guess, pursue it again. So maybe we'll see that rematch at either Rumble or Chamber. I mean, if Sheamus is back by that time, I mean, who knows?
You know who I think I would have preferred in this spot?
Who?
Literally anyone else.
Wow, nice.
Swagger is awful. He's so boring. I was saying today when we were watching this, I think Swagger is the most athletic guy that I've ever seen who is that uncoordinated. Like, he's such a phenomenal athlete, but he is just so clunky and what seems like uncoordinated. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, you did say that when we were watching together tonight. But you know what? Like, I think this is the only bad thing, and I do say bad in very tight air quotes because it's not that bad, but about Big Show having his yearly heel turn, because I think even Big Show would have been a better substitute for this. Been like, hey, I took care of him.
Because again, that's a rehash. We just got Big Show versus Rusev like 2 months ago.
Yeah, but then
at least this is less recent.
Yeah, true, but I think I'd rather have a rehash who at least looks more credible than Swagger, because at the same time, and not to say anything bad about the rest of the roster, but who really is believable to go? I mean, other than that, a babyface Cesaro I would take. If Cesaro is babyface, I'd put those two in the ring together. I think it's still too soon if there are designs for Ryback Rusev, and plus Ryback's already booked on the pay-per-view with Kane. So really, it doesn't lead for the most crowded crop of contenders. So, you know, that's kind of WWE, in my opinion, putting themselves in a corner, but what are you going to do?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of difficult when it's one of those things where they just have so many guys waiting to come up, and yet they choose to stick the same 5 to 10, well, I shouldn't say 5, the same 8 to 10 guys on TV every Monday. Well, and when I say 8 to 10, that's not including tag teams. I meant solo acts. So it's one of those things where you kind of have to just sit by and wait until something new shows up. And what really sucks is there was a report earlier today on Reddit that apparently tonight we were going to get our first Ascension vignette. And now, well, it's not even really end now, but he said that it was either going to be tonight, and if it wasn't tonight, that it would be the Raw after next week's live special, which would also be the first Raw after TLC. So hopefully the Ascension gets called up soon. We were supposed to get our first vignettes, but not tonight, or again, like I said, the first Raw after TLC. So looking forward to that. That's going to be awesome.
Absolutely. Can't wait for the Ascension to finally be called up. So yeah, that was pretty much that with Swagger and Rusev. They mentioned voting is still open for AJ Lee's partner against the Bellas. Then we come back from commercial and we see Damien Mizdow versus Fernando. And Miz is on commentary. Pretty much says that, hey, I could have taken care of business here, but it's a season for giving, Michael. And I just wanted to give Mizdow an opportunity. Not really much to say about the match here. I think they have a little bit of back and forth, but it's not long before Mizdow is replicating the Miz's offense. You know, the backbreaker, neckbreaker combo. Tries to go for the skull-crushing finale. Fernando fights out of it, but he only long enough before he falls victim to the figure 4 leg lock. Mizdow getting the submission win. And really the big thing worth noting, as Ashton alluded to a few segments prior, was that Jimmy Uso comes out after the match. Miz gets up, offers a handshake, thinking like, oh, look, one of my fans. And Jimmy Uso pretty much slaps a taste out of his mouth and tells him, stay away from my wife! And he walks off.
Yeah, I mean, it's really ridiculous, but it's one of those things where you kind of get to know that If you don't watch Total Divas, you kind of get to see the jealous side of an Uso come out, which is weird because they're supposed to be like these white bread baby faces.
Well, that's just it. Like, this is such a welcomed progression to me because you're absolutely dead on, Ashton. I mean, they are, white bread baby faces. They are completely campy and all that other stuff. I mean, they had an association with John Cena for a little bit, and we could make a million jokes about that. But and you know what? I hope Jimmy doesn't let it go. I hope this is something that simmers. I don't really say this too often because normally I'm against it, but this is one case where I hope Naomi becomes a slightly more prominent fixture in this program, simply so we can see Jimmy hang on to that anger.
Yeah.
Because then, personally, and I don't want to get too far out of myself because I always love to save that discussion for our preview and predictions videos, but then you have a viable reason to say that Miz and Mizdow would go over at TLC because Jimmy Uso's anger would blind him and it would cost the Usos. So that could be the narrative they go with. Miz looking stunned that he got slapped, and I think Jimmy Uso just fulfilled the wish for most wrestling fans across the board, even though, again, have been loving what Miz is doing, but he's still just got such a punchable face. So, good job there, Jimmy.